Single salute. I'm Lord Maitreya, the hip hop futurist. You're now tuned into the Super Longevity Institute podcast. Today, I have a very special guest. He first entered public office as a member of the New York State Assembly in 1997 and is currently serving his third full term as Bronx Borough president. During his term, he has helped improve the New York City Housing Authority in order to make public housing safer and healthier. In his childhood years, he lived in Moore houses and Bronx-style houses in Southview. As borough president, he led the citywide charge for an emergency declaration to allow the agency to speed the procurement process and make repairs faster. Wow. On health, he's launched Not 62 initiative aimed at improving social and economic factors that will help improve more positive health behaviors. Wow. You know, he's done way more than what I'm listing here, to be honest with y'all. But that's just a quick, brief bio for him. Ladies and gentlemen, hip-hop futurist, transhumanist worldwide, Bronx Borough President, Ruben Diaz Jr. It's a warm welcome to have you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Let me just, for purposes of clarity, and I hate that introduction, but I don't want to misrepresent anything. So I was born in Moore houses, that's public housing, in the South Bronx. Lived there till I was about the age of 4. We moved to Soundview on St. Lawrence, and that was a block right next to Bronxdale. So I didn't live in Bronxdale.
Oh, okay.
I hung out with Bronxdale and Bronxdalians.
Oh, I see.
Third and second section, but I just don't want anybody to think that I'm out here saying I lived in Bronxdale. You know how this is. They're like, oh, you know, then he's not keeping it real. He didn't live there. I lived on St. Lawrence.
Thank you for correcting me on that.
Perpendicular to Bronxdale. Now it's called Sonia Sotomayor houses. But we hung out in Bronxdale, and Bronxdalians hung out on St. Lawrence.
Wow. Well, thank you for correcting me on that. How you feeling today? And I love that hat, man, by the way. That hat is dope.
BX all day. You know, I represent.
Yeah, man.
And I bleed the Bronx, and I appreciate all of the folks who are entrepreneurs, who are out there making their Bronx apparel, and some of them either hook me up or I buy and purchase from some. But I always got to promote Bronx entrepreneurship and the Bronx brand to the fullest. So this one here I got from my man Vic in the Hut.
Wow. I need to get one of those. I like that color too. It's burgundy, right? That color is dope. I got some sneakers that match that right now. Yeah. Let me ask you, what made you want to get into politics?
So my family's always been a family of public service. My father started senior citizen programs back in the 70s. My mother's a retired daycare teacher. My sister's a retired police sergeant. My brother is a supervisor for public housing for New York City Housing Authority. And so early on, we were always taught to give back. And my father ran for office, but never won. I always thought that I would either be a rap star or the shooting guard for the New York Knicks. And so that never played out. That never panned out for me. And so I decided to, at a tender age of 21, after being involved in politics with my family, helping elected officials, to run for a political position called district leader. So I won that position, and that's how I started personally dabbling with politics in 1990. That was 1994. 1996, I ran in a special election for the New York State Assembly. I lost against the organization, the Bronx Democratic County Organization. I lost against them, but then they decided to support me, and later on that year, I ran and I won. I became the youngest New York State legislator at the time at the age of 23.
Wow. That's crazy. 23 years old, man?
Wow. 23. So I ran for district leader at 21, ran for the assembly, New York State Assembly at 22 and lost. And then at 23, I won. And so I've been doing this practically my entire adult life.
Yeah, that's amazing. You know what? I've been watching you, man, and I said to myself, if there's ever been, I don't know anybody, you know, please forgive me out there if my ignorance, but to me, you're the closest thing to a politician that's also a hip hopper. I feel like you're a hip hopper. When I said, Dad, look at the Ruben Diaz. He's actually a part of the community. You see him everywhere. He's at all the ceremonies, at the events. He's doing all these great things, man. And I said to myself, man, he definitely
So,
represents.
so you got to understand, hip hop raised me. I'm
Wow.
of the generation of hip hop,
Right.
and I totally embraced it. I remember once upon a time. So, just to answer your question even more directly, I got involved in government and politics not only because my family introduced me to it in public service, but I also saw a lack of representation from my
Yes.
generation or a lack of consideration from those who were in government at the time. So I figured, you know what? We could only complain but so much, right? You complain and complain and complain, but at some point you got to get into the arena.
Yes. Yes.
And I strongly believe in that. So I decided to, but like, I remember once upon a time, it's not like it is now, where people want to see authenticity, where more things are accepted. I remember folks telling me, "Oh, you got to hide your hip hop, credentials. You got to hide your hip hop flavor because that's not really acceptable, in government or in politics." But hip hop raised me. My first record that I bought was in 1983. I was 10 years old.
Wow.
I went to the movie theater there in Parkchester, and there was a record store. And my man Jose, one of my best friends, he bought the Fat Boy Stickum album, and I bought Run DMC Rockbox.
Oh, wow.
And I remember, early on dancing for my aunt and her friends. Whenever you had Sugar Hill Gang playing or The Message, like I was that little kid trying to break dance. My father used to have fedora hats, and my brother had glasses. So he got the gazelles, right? With the he got the gazelle frames. So I remember like we used to use my father's fedora hats, and I used to think I was Run and my brother was DMC. And we used to perform all the Run DMC stuff in the mirror in our living room, with our record. So, my name is Joseph Simmons, but my middle name is Lloyd. When I'm rocking on the mic, you should all applaud because we're wheeling, dealing. We got a funny feeling. We rock the floor up to the ceiling. So we used to do all that stuff.
Wow.
So hip hop raised me, and then you had everything from Just Ice and KRS-One.
One of my favorites.
Production came out, that blew our mind.
Wow.
Right? You had Juice Crew All Star. You had Fat Boys. You had Rakim the God.
Wow.
Radio. You have everything from KRS-One to Big Daddy Kane.
Wow.
All of that. We grew up on all of that, and that's part of my makeup. That's part of who I am. That's part of the inner pentameter, the beat that is inside of me, that ticks inside of me.
So you consider yourself a hip hopper?
I'm a hip hop, yeah.
Yes.
Obviously, as you get older, it becomes more and more generational.
Right.
But I love hip hop. I love the way it pushes the envelope on language.
Right.
I love I love how it's taken over the planet. I love how it's the number one genre of the world. Right. How it's now taking over jewelry and fashion and film. I mean, the list goes on, right? And even politics. So there are more. Going back to your initial statement, there are more and more hip-hop generational elected officials, people who are embracing it. Jumaane Williams, who's the public advocate. You got Carl Heastie, who's Speaker of the New York State Assembly, probably the most powerful Democrat in the state of New York, who's my BFF politically, and has come from the Bronx, the first black man to be the Speaker of the Assembly. You have people like Jamar Bailey, who's the Democratic County Chairman of the Bronx now, he's a state senator. You have Kevin Riley, who's a city council member. So there's so many of us now who are of the hip hop generation who totally embrace it, where hip hop has raised us.
Wow, you just blew my mind. And I want to get more politicians on this show, and politicians that really represent that generation, that generation. I want to get politicians that identify with the culture and are doing great things, and for their community. I definitely want to bring it on. And speaking of that. You was on a ballot for mayor, right? You filed for mayor to run.
I was raising money. I raised a couple of $1 million. I had all my ducks in a row. But when you do make a decision at this level, you don't exist in a vacuum. It's got to be one where the entire family is involved and is totally on board 100%. And after 20 some odd years of being public and being a part of this life, my family and I decided that enough. There was enough time. Enough was enough. And if they wasn't feeling it, I wasn't feeling it, and that's okay.
Yes,
and I'm totally happy with the amount of people that we've helped groom and nurture politically in the Bronx. And I'm totally pleased that the person that I supported for Mayor, Eric Adams, is now the Democratic nominee.
That's right. Yes.
And I think that the future of the Bronx and New York City is in good hands.
Yeah.
And that's all that I hope for.
You know him? How long you know Eric Adams?
So Eric Adams and I know each other over 20 years. We met when I was a young assembly member. And I don't know if your viewers are too young. Maybe a lot of them remember when a young African man named Amadou Diallo was killed. He was shot at 41 times and hit with 19 bullets by police officers. That happened here in the Sound section of the Bronx on Wheeler Avenue. And I was the assembly member at the time. And so this not only shook his family, of course, and the local community, the Bronx community, but this shook the world. And we had so many people from Reverend Sharpton to Jesse Jackson to so many elected officials from abroad at every level of government, and even people in law enforcement who just felt like this was an abuse of authority by the 4 police officers. Eric Adams was a captain of the NYPD, and he started an organization at the time before that called 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement Who Care. And they were critical of their superiors. They were critical of their police commissioner and the mayor, Giuliani, at the time, based on how policing was happening in Black and brown communities. And when he came with his team to protest in Soundview, in our community, against what happened to Amadou Diallo, that's where we first met. And that's where we hit it off as 2 individuals who, young Black and Latino, who were doing positive things, who were really angry and hurt by how our communities were treated. And so from there, he became, I was in the assembly already, but he became a state senator. And so we used to go up to the gym together, hang out in Albany together, pass bills together. When you look at things like Rockefeller drug law and increasing of funding for education, higher education, these are all things we were able to work on together. And he became I was the borough president. Then he became the borough president after Marty Marco was in Brooklyn. And so then we became colleagues as borough presidents. So we have so many different walks of life and areas over the last 22, 23 years where we've been able to get to know each other, trust each other, and build and work with each other. And so the relationship is natural.
Man, when I seen you endorse, I was so proud of both of y'all. I said, man, look at this. I knew the history. I was like, wow, let me show a picture. I got to show a picture of this. I was so proud, yo. I was like, look at this, man. Incredible.
So let me tell you something. It's bigger than politics, right? Because if you're a student of politics, you'll see that, unfortunately, in the 80s, Blacks and Latino leadership, they were put at odds against each other. There was always a strategic plan to keep the leadership fighting. Herman Badillo, you had Charlie Rangel, David Dinkins, you had Percy Sutton. They fought against Herman. They fought against Ramon Velez. Some of your viewers can go out and Google this and learn some of that history. Carl Hasty and I, when we were in the assembly, he's African-American from the Northeast Bronx. I'm from the Southeast Bronx. When we wanted to show that Black and Latino leadership can not only coexist, but can coexist harmoniously and grow together and build together. And so we've been able to do that here in the Bronx. But what I wanted to show with Eric is that even if someone like myself who had aspired for because see, what happens sometimes is people in different communities, you aspire to the same things. And when it doesn't happen for one person, that person winds up hating on the individual that it's happening for. And so they don't support them, or they support them, they do it half-assed. They don't do it wholeheartedly. So I wanted to show I was thinking about doing this. It didn't work out for me, but I'm a Latino from the Bronx. He's a Black man from Brooklyn. and I'm gonna go all in. And if you look at the numbers, right, you look at how Latinos and you look at how the Bronx, we came through big for Eric.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that shows that next level. Like we cannot continue to protest, we cannot continue to complain, we cannot continue to demand respect for other communities if we don't show that harmony.
That's right.
If we don't show that support within our own community. So, yes, the politics is right and the relationship was right.
Mm-hmm.
And I trust Eric in his heart personally because I know him.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to show a strong signal that just because it doesn't happen for you doesn't mean you can't go all in 1,000%
Right.
for somebody from another community and show, especially black and brown men, whether it's in politics, in music, in business,
Facts.
wherever, that you cannot come together. We have to show them we could come together.
That's right.
We could be positive about it.
That's right.
And hopefully that, even though we won, he won the election, that we show that we can continue to build on that even outside of governance and politics.
That's right, man. I said, man, this is what leadership looks like. When I seen that, I was like, wow. I said, this is what leadership looks like. These brothers right here is no joke. I was telling everybody about it. I was like, yo, you don't see what's going on? This is history. You see that what the brothers is doing here? This Latino African connection.
In the past, if the African American was the one who made it, you would see a lot of the Latino leadership undermine that out of hate, right? Like out of jealousy or whatever it was, right? Out of politics. Or vice versa. If you see the Latinos the one who made it, you would see some of the black leadership that will try to undermine. We try to dispel all of that. We went all in, 1,000%.
Wow, man.
And he's gonna be good. Look, he's gonna be good for New York City. He's
yes.
the right person at the right time. When you look at crime in our communities, we need policing done, but we also need policing done in a responsible way where our civil rights aren't violated. And Eric is a black young man who was violated by police officers when he was little, but also understands the necessity as a former captain that you have to work with the police department. So he has that balance. He knows what it's like to be dyslexic and have learning disabilities and having, many people try to shut down your future opportunities because of it. So he wants to expand. He understands, like I do, that talent is abundant, especially in our communities. Opportunity has not been.
Yeah.
And so when you look at the richest city, the most resourceful city in the world, how do we open up opportunity to match the level of talent that we have? Hip hop is exactly that. Look how many, men and women from hip hop have been able to be employed, gainfully employed. Yes. Whether they're rap artists, whether they're producers, DJs, whether they're cinematographers, whether they, road managers, assistants, whatever it is. Like hip hop has fed a lot of families. Yes. Because it's created the opportunities to match that level of talent in our communities. In other institutions, those opportunities have been shut. Whether it's finance, real estate, fashion, you know what I mean. So Eric understands that, hey, if you want to do business now in New York City, we want you to do business with New York City. That means opening up opportunities to match the level of talent in our communities.
Facts. I couldn't say it any better. That's you've been involved in a lot of hip hop ceremonies. That's why I was like, Ruben Diaz is hip hop. I'm sorry, I gotta say it. I'm not sorry actually. I said Ruben Diaz.
Apologize. People don't. If people don't believe it, I mean, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, man. I wasn't even at these events. I was like, dang, Ruben Diaz. I was like, can you tell us about the breaking ground ceremony? Let me show them this picture right now. This is another powerful image, man.
Epic.
Yo, I was like, look at Ruben. I was like, yo, look at this, yo. This needs to be framed.
We got guards in the building. We have Nas. We have LL. We have Fat Joe. Chuck D was there. It gives me goosebumps.
Yo.
We have Vin from OPP. I mean, it was just crazy. We had David East. We had so many that day. All of these pioneers from Soul Sonic Force. We had MC Search. It was just, Remember, I mean, it was just a big event. And what this is finally we having a hip hop museum where it belongs in the birthplace of hip hop. Shout out to the Universal, Hip Hop Museum and Rocky and those guys. We were able to get a developer to say, look, if again you want to do business in the Bronx, we need not only for you to afford us a space, but it got to be a space in perpetuity. It means we're not trying to rent or lease a space. So we had the condo 60,000 square feet, and if you look at that day, I was able to allocate over $4 million. The city council has done over $8 million. That will go a long way into ensuring that the space is bought. So it's like when you buy a condo in a house.
Yeah.
It's your apartment.
Yes.
This is going to be for the Hip Hop Museum. So no matter what, the Hip Hop Museum will have a home there. And we want it to be a destination place. But we need folks from the hip hop community now to help now continue to raise funding for the programming and for the building out of the space. So you can't let government out hip hop.
Right. Right.
Right? So if hip hop has always been fighting against the powers that be, we got to fight the powers that be. Elvis was a hero to most. Elvis was a hero to most. Remember PE? So
yes.
So if hip hop is always being a voice against the powers that be, in this case, the powers that be said, look, we recognize hip hop and we recognize its legitimacy. And it's got to be a place where we can celebrate the pioneers and the giants and induct people to the Hip Hop Hall of Fame, and where people from all over the globe could come, and this could be a destination point where we could create jobs and an economic stimulant to the community. But we need hip hop community now to put, their stamp on it and to help raise money so that this could be something better than even the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, better than Cooperstown, the baseball. Like we got to have it so that when a Japanese kid is coming from Japan with his parents to New York, and the parents just want to go to Manhattan, that Japanese kid who is hip hop is saying, "Nah, I want to go to the Bronx. We got to go to the Hip Hop Hall of Fame." When an Australian kid, when a German kid, a kid, when somebody from every corner of the globe who loves hip hop and is celebrating hip hop comes to New York City, they got to push their parents and say, "I want to go over there at least for one day out of the week that we're vacationing in New York." Facts. We got to make it right.
Wow.
So that's what that was a historic day, epic day. You're never going to get that, so many giants that were there.
I mean, who picked the site select? Who picked the site selection for this? Genius.
So it was a city-owned location. They put out an RFP. An RFP is called a request for proposal. When you do a request for proposal, you got to, as a borough president, we got to sign off on it because there's something called like a ULURP. It's like a land use change. So you're changing the use of the land. The city, the community board has to be involved, the borough president, the city council person. So that's where we hold our leverage to the developer and to the city. Say, okay, we know that the city wants to sell off this property, and we know that you as a developer want to develop it, but hold on, certain things got to happen. Number one, for us here, we wanted to make sure that you created affordable housing. Number two, we wanted to make sure that whoever's building this, it was black and brown hands. So if you look at Local 79, it's predominantly black and brown people union. So we made them choose that union. We made sure that we have Bronx vendors. So people, for instance, whoever they bought their cement from, or their windows, as best we can, make it so that this is how you stimulate the local economy. And then number three is wait a minute. Because of the strategic locations, like what you said, because we're right over the bridge from the one train in Harlem. We could go right over Harlem. People from Harlem can walk over. You can take the one train, walk over the bridge, the 145th Street Bridge. You can go on the Major Deegan. You got the East Side Highway. You have the Metro North Station there. You have the 4, 5, and 6 trains. You have Yankee Stadium, the Children's Museum, Hostos Community College. It's all there, right? So we're like, wait a minute. I told Ron Molis from L&M, the developers, I was like, you guys, I need a hip hop museum. And I need a hip hop museum where we're just not leasing. So part of the the whole package was condoing 55,000 square feet to the Hip Hop Museum.
Mm. Wow. And it's right by the water. I was like, yo, this is going. And you said it's going to be a building? They're building a building? Like affordable housing there?
It's going to be residential on top. You have like other retail around the building. If we also want to have like a movie theater. So think of this. Think of having like, say, some hip hop movie where you could premiere the movie at the movie theater, and then the movie theater is like a wraparound. It'll be like a wraparound corridor right into the museum, so that you could have like an after party. Or think of this. Say, I mean, you have again behind you. You have the Mount Rushmore of the founding fathers of hip hop, right?
No doubt.
So imagine here having an induction ceremony where at the one of the movie theaters, you know, you can present them, have a nice red carpet, and then again, then after you do that, then you kind of like do the induction ceremony where you have a wall, you know, set up with plaques of people who, you know, who have been inducted, who have contributed tremendously to hip hop. It'd be, you know, it'd be phenomenal.
Man, I never thought I would see this. This is crazy. I mean,
we're only about 2 years away from this. You know, but again, it can't happen whether it's big money by the big names of hip hop or the record labels or the corporations that benefit from hip hop, or even small money. You know, the same way that, you know, politicians now look and ask people for $5, $3 contributions or whatever. Anybody in the world who loves hip hop, they should be sending their money there, and you know, we can make this a really, really phenomenal, state of the art, global destination.
I need to help with this. I need to get the people that was running that museum that's responsible. I need to get in contact with them. I need to help raise money for this. I need to get more involved with this, Ruben Diaz. Thank you for even breaking this down. This is incredible. I mean, that picture needs to be framed.
If 100,000 people donated $10, right? That's less than a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
You know, that's less than a drink when you go out. If 100,000 people donated $10, there you go. You got $1 million.
Wow.
Now you know you can get more than 100,000 people, and you know that there's more people that can donate more than $10.
Wow.
So you do the math. This is hip hop, right?
Right. That's right. Wow. Let's see. Oh yeah, you was at the ceremony. I seen you at the ceremony for the renaming of the street on Fordham Road for Big Pun, and I think it was, and then Freddie the Godson also. How did I actually get to happen? That was so dope, man.
So in order to do a street name changing, you have to have the city council people, or the local city council person, introduce it as like a bill, and it gets signed off into law, a code name, street naming, and it's done often, you know, with people. Seldom have you seen it done with people in hip hop.
Yeah,
right. Now it's taken a long time for Big Pun. Shout out to Councilmember Fernando Cabrera. He did that at the request from the family. And Pun is one of I never actually met Pun.
Wow.
I never met him. Well, briefly at the Puerto Rican Day Parade, he was on the float, and you know, he was there with Fat Joe. I know Fat Joe for 25 years. But I never got a chance to build with Big Pun. But he's one of my top 5.
Oh, definitely, without a question.
My top 5 is stronger than my top 5 can compete with most. So I got Biggie, Pun, Rakim, KRS-One, and Eminem. Those are my top 5. Strong top 5.
Who gonna argue with you? I mean, you know, yeah, that's a good top 5. I can't even argue. Yeah, that's a really good top 5.
So that was a big day. That was a historic day. And then Fred the Godson, you know, you look at COVID, and everybody wants to make COVID about just statistics, but what about how we've been robbed of natural resources? Fred the Godson is a natural resource.
Yeah.
I mean, and I knew Fred personally.
Wow.
Personally. Fred the Godson, it's the only time, my first time in my name been on a rap song.
Wow.
Fred the Godson's metaphors and
He was
his
ridiculous.
wordplay.
I was listening to him yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, when he got together with, with people like Axel Leon, and those two get together, shout out to Axe. Their wordplay I'm into lyricism.
Me too.
All respect to trap and drill and all that type of derivatives of hip hop, but if you look at my top 5, they're all lyricists.
They're all lyricists. Facts.
I'm into that. They're all lyricists.
Yes.
So,
wow.
So Fred the Godson is one of those natural resources.
Yeah.
There's more than a COVID statistic, and he was robbed and taken from us, too soon.
Yeah.
And it's just a phenomenal person, a phenomenal artist, and he was, it was just a tragic loss.
Yeah, this year has been really rough on hip hop as far as we lost a lot of people this year, and that's why I definitely want to push health as a initiative in the culture, as far as mental health, physical health, just health all around. However you want to think about it, we definitely need to push that in the hip hop culture, because a lot of us, we're still we're older now, but we still participate in the culture, and we want to show the young ones that you can still be an elder statesman in the culture and still be healthy, stay healthy. So
absolutely.
What's up with the Kingsbridge Queensbridge Armory? I have family relatives that live like right across the street. Shout out to the Tolls. And I wanted to know what was going on with it. And I did read that there was something in the proposal that you didn't like.
Well, that was when I first got into Borough Hall, they wanted to create a giant retail mall. Right. But we knew we were going to get a mall. I was pushing for a mall by Co-op City. So to have 2 indoor malls, it would have been competitive, and neither one would have succeeded. Right. And this was done by Bloomberg. So we defeated that proposal initially. The Kingsbridge Armory is a phenomenal building, a historic building, and it's tricky to do something. People have all kind of ideas, but they don't realize that it's 650,000 square feet. You see that picture there? Yeah. It's 650,000 square feet. And it's triple landmark, city, state, and federally landmark. So you just can't do whatever. You can't. For instance, people say, "Well, why don't you put a school there?" You can't. In order to have a school, for instance, you have to have X amount of exits. You can't cut more holes into those walls. You can't cut more windows. It's forbidden when there's a landmark.
Oh, wow.
People do this or do that. You can't break down walls. You can't do but so much. Right. So one of the proposals that we thought can work is an indoor ice sports complex where you have multiple ice floors, one which would be in the middle that you can cover and create 3,500 to 5,000 square feet where you can have concerts, you can have graduations, you can have basketball, like NWA basketball, you can have intramural sports, basketball, ice hockey with local colleges, and so many other things. The other ice centers would be used for recreation, or you can have some of the NHL leagues when they come in and play against the Rangers. They need ice to practice. There's not enough ice. You could have, but what happens is once we were all able to agree on that, now it's up to the developer to be able to raise some of the money. The developer told us he can do that, and so we're in the middle of all of that. Hopefully it could happen, but this has taken my entire borough presidency.
Yeah, no.
To get this done. And time is running out. If not, they're gonna have to find out what else to do with it. But I'm optimistic that we can still get it done.
Can I pitch an idea?
Go ahead.
Battle rap arena. The battle rappers are doing so well, and the thing about battle rap is that when you're young and you're full of testosterone, this is a great way to channel that energy from the youngsters. Instead of channeling to all that, they're full of testosterone and they want to beat up on each other, they could just use their words and battle each other. Battle rap arena. I'm telling you.
I'm big on battle rap. I never met him, but like Charlie Clips and Murder Mook, those are my favorites.
Yeah, those are, and they like the best.
They like the pioneers. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously there's newer faces. But whether the good thing about the proposal that we have for the armory, that 50,000 square feet of it, it will be determined by the community as to what to do with it. That has nothing to do with ice sports.
Right.
Now, people say ice sports is the Bronx. What the hell do we know about ice sports? Do you know that the NHL is making a big push? They want to expand their audience. The best way to do it is to have black and brown faces playing professional ice hockey. So this would be a great place to start.
Yeah,
like the way they do in Philly. I saw it in Philly with my own eyes.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Puerto Ricans and blacks who are getting scholarships in college, not for basketball, baseball, or football, but for ice hockey. That's great, you know.
Okay. I see.
So, but in terms of battle rap, that could either happen in a space where there's 50,000 additional square feet, or it could happen because it's grown so much. You can lay down a platform in the arena in the center ice where you could have 3,000, 2,000 people, or you could have it at the Hip-Hop Museum.
That's true too. But you know what? When you said something about so you saying that's a great idea. That's good. So you saying that you want to have ice hockey too in here?
Yeah. So the proposal that's for the arena is the business proposal comes from developers who want to create an ice sports center.
Oh, so it'll be
5 to 8 different ice rinks. That's how big the armory is.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
660,000 square feet. So you can put, four on the bottom, 1 in the middle, and 4 on top. Like, so you go 2 on one side, 2 on the other, 1 in the middle. The middle one you could have 3,500 seats around it. You can cover the ice the same way they do in MSG, where one day you have the Knicks play, the next day you have the Rangers. What they do is they cover the ice.
Oh,
so you can cover the ice. You can play basketball. You can set the stage for a concert or rap battle.
Wow.
And sell tickets, and you have now in the Bronx, the birthplace of hip hop, rap battles where you have the rappers on the stage, and you can sell tickets and have people sit around and watch the rap battle.
That would be cool.
You could have somebody who's up and coming who may not be able to sell out Madison Square Garden, but could sell out 3,500 seats, 5,000 seats in the Bronx, and, and have a concert, an up and coming artist.
Wow, this is a great idea. Wow. Oh, I wanted to know more about this. Who are the Rainbow Rebels, and what is the purpose of this political group? I wanted to know more about that.
So the Rainbow Rebels is not really a codified group. The Rainbow Rebels was a name that the media gave a bunch of us. So, you know how you have the Democratic Party? So in the Bronx, and they call it the establishment, the party. I've become part of the established Democratic Party.
Definitely.
But before that, we took over the party.
Right.
And because we created a racially diverse coalition of blacks, Latinos, Jews, Italians, and at the time it was only Latinos who was icing out other communities or even other people, and was just favorable to their inner clique and their family members. And so when we took over the party, it was exciting to the media, and because of our diversity, they call us a rainbow. This rainbow is usually used for LGBT and stuff like that, but they just call us the Rainbow Rebels because we were rebels against the Democratic establishment. No,
even Fred Hampton had the the rainbow. He has something like the Rainbow Coalition, like the Jesse Jackson started the Rainbow Coalition. So it's not unfamiliar for people to throw that term around. And Jesse Jackson got that from Fred Hampton because he had included everybody, and he had all types of different people from different backgrounds. It just wasn't African American, which was dope. So yeah,
So that's what we did. We
yes.
did a whole, and that's how then Carl Hasty became. So Carl Hasty and I were assembly members.
Mm.
I don't know if you know what an assembly member is. I don't know if you're viewers. So it's like
No,
when you
no.
go to school. So when we teach the 3 branches of government in school, you have the executive branch, the judicial branch, and the legislative branch.
Right.
At the federal level, so the executive branch is the president, the judicial branch is the Supreme Court and the federal courts,
Mm-hmm.
and the legislative branch is the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate.
Mm.
At the state level, the executive is not the president, it's the governor. And then we still have our courts, that's the judicial branch,
Mm-hmm.
but the legislative branch is the state Senate, not the U.S. Senate.
Mm.
The state Senate, that's what Eric Adams used to be.
Right.
And then instead of the House of Representatives, you have the New York State Assembly. That's what I used to be. And Carl Hasty and I were assembly members. And so the same way that Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House of Representatives,
Yes.
Carl Hasty became the Speaker of the State Assembly.
Oh, okay.
And that's what he is now.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, he was a chair. We took out the chair. We took out the established chair of the Democratic Party in the Bronx, and he became Carl Hasty the first black. Wow. So remember let's rewind a little bit now. Early on in the show, I said we could show how blacks and Latinos could coexist
Definitely
harmoniously. So he became the chair of the party, and then I became the borough president. So now together we created that unity, and as the chair, as the borough president, we showed that a Latino and a black could govern in the Bronx, bring everybody together, the Jews in Riverdale, the Irish, the Italians in Morris Park. We brought everybody together, and that's how you started seeing a transformation of the Bronx. More jobs, more development, more respect. Like we didn't have respect from mayors, we didn't have the respect from governors, we didn't have the respect from U.S. senators, we didn't have the respect from other boroughs. Wow. So it's like we became a crew. We became a crew.
Wow.
And now we started to get that respect and started getting that, we started seeing economic development, over 20 billion private dollars since I've been the borough president. Wow. We started to see more housing, over 58,000, every 8,000 units of housing. We've seen, we went from 14% unemployment. So the February before the pandemic hit, we went down to less than 4% unemployment rate. Wow. Pandemic, hit us hard. Yeah. So we're back to higher levels. Mm-hmm. But, we started to develop this respect because of that unity and because of what transpired back in 2008. Mm. And then I became the borough president in 2009.
I definitely
it's like a chain reaction.
Wow. I definitely seen changes in the Bronx since you've been in office. A lot.
We're perfect. Now, a lot of people watch this and be like, "Oh, what you talking about? The Bronx still needs this." But people forget what we used to be.
Yeah.
People forget people speak of crime and homicides now. So, last year we had 100 and something homicides, but when I was 17 in 1990, we had 653 in 1 year.
Facts. Yep, that's right.
We used to have 600, 500 in 1 year.
Yeah.
New York City now doesn't have 600 homicides
in 1 year.
That's right. But Bronx had it, we have burnt down lots.
Yes.
We had no jobs. We had buildings burning.
That's right.
People don't remember that stuff. And so, they'll criticize where we are now. And rightfully so, we should always push the envelope. Definitely. But we were able to bring the Bronx back to a level of respectability where the governor now is investing. If you look at all the construction that's going on, all the bridges, the little bridge over there by the Whitestone Cinemas, new bridge. Mm-hmm. You got the Brooklyn Chevy, the interchange. You have the 4 Metro North stations coming here. You know what I mean? The list goes on and on. That's because we're respected now.
Yeah, the Bronx is looking real good. Thank you. The Bronx is looking real good.
Hip-hop museum, children's museum.
Yes, man. I definitely, wow.
So we have York Studios. We have Silver Cup Studios. Like, we popping over here.
Yeah, I see. Do you know about that bookstore Lit? Have you been there yet?
So, again, people say, oh, gentrification. When you look at Mount Haven and all the development that's happening over there, but we making sure that they're doing business with our folks.
That's right.
So, shout out to Noel Santos. She's an Afro-Latina from Hunts Point.
Yes.
And her lip bar is the only privately owned bookstore in the Bronx, the only bookstore in the Bronx right now.
That's right.
You know, when Barnes and Nobles dissed us and left us,
I remember that.
she picked up the pieces. I urge all of the viewers to support her.
Yes.
It looks trendy. It
Sure
looks like
does.
gentrification. But you know what? We deserve that look.
That's
And she's
right.
from Huntsville. She comes from the bottom. She's even been recognized by President Obama.
Yes.
He did like a podcast with her.
She's
So
dope.
shout out to her. I'm
Yeah.
buying my book from her. And the lit bar means literature. It means that you get lit. It means that you can go and have a little bit of a drink.
Yes.
So it's just dope. Right next to her, you have Bistros owned by Alfredo, a
Yes.
Puerto Rican from Bronx.
I've been there.
Across the street, you have Nobody's
Yes.
equipment. That's Lala's brother.
Mm-hmm.
Around the block, you have Willie Colon with his brick and Hobson Bricks. He's from the Bronx, former Super Bowl star from the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
His sister's my next door neighbor. She lives in the apartment right next door. These are all Latino-owned businesses. You have Bronx Native. Shout out to Omari around the block.
Yes.
You had Rosa, who had the My Haven Bar and Grill. So Fat Joe was coming with his sneaker store, his third sneaker store in the area. So we're making sure that all that trendy stuff is happening with our folks from the Bronx, Black and Latinos from the Bronx.
Yeah. Oh man, the Bronx is looking good. My gosh. All right, I want to show. Oh yeah, I gotta show this. Okay, let's see. Yeah, since you mentioned Fat Joe, I had to show this picture. Hold on, let me get it.
That was a sneaker giveaway. So people want to criticize, folks. Fat Joe is my brother. I love
Fat Joe.
Like, that's my brother for 25 years.
Love the guy. I used to see him all the time too, buying sneakers.
We talk, we speak often.
Mm-hmm.
But what I love about Joe more than anything else is I remember when Lean Back came out, and he was making so much money. He's one called me Ruben, Fat Joe. I gotta do something for the kids. My song was #1 song on the planet. And then we did computers to 3 different schools.
Wow.
We did a whole computer library dedicated to his sister's name in the elementary school that he went to. And we've done stuff for Puerto Rico. All of the giveaways that we did 300,000 pounds. We didn't know how to send it over there. He's one who talked with Jay-Z and Rock Nation and gave us the money to send airplanes out there. Shout out to Rock Nation.
Shout out, yes.
And all of them over there. But in this case here, what he was saying is like, I know how to get kids motivated to do better in school. So let's do a sneaker giveaway to the class, an entire class, and we picked 4 different schools. And if the class can show A, good attendance, B, good behavior, and C, good grades.
Wow.
And we can show that not only one class will win, but the whole school will want to win.
Yes.
The whole school will do better. And the empirical data shows that he was correct. And there are a lot of people who are critical. Oh, why give them sneakers and not computers? Because kids want sneakers.
Exactly. Give them. What's wrong with y'all? That's what we like.
We all work hard, and we all went to school so we could have careers, so we could buy what we want. And so these kids, a lot of the kids, and Joe grew up poor.
Right.
So he was like, yo, if I was a kid in school that if you told me, I could get the latest Fila or Shelter or Adidas, I would have been better behaved in school. So what we found out is that kids started helping each other. We found out that kids started behaving better. We found out that, kids was like, come on, we got to win this. So you got to do your homework. You got to come to school. And it created that push. And I wish it becomes contagious, and I wish that more and more artists and celebrities adopt schools and do things like this. But Joe and this was like the kids picked out. This is not like BS sneakers.
Yeah,
the kids.
I've seen it.
The kids wind up picking out what sneakers they like. They didn't know what class won, but part of the excitement is when you ask the kids, give us your shoe size. And out of these Nikes, because Joe got a Nike store. So out of these Nikes, whether it's Jordans or whatever, what sneakers would you like? You know, Air Max, Jordans, yada yada yada. So they picked out the sneakers that they were like. That creates an excitement.
Yeah.
You know, you start doing that along the way, like, oh my God, you know, this is real, and then boom, we surprise them with the winners, the 4 different schools, a whole class, 4 different classes, 4 different schools.
Politicians take notes, please. Take notes. You see what they're
And
doing?
Forget
Celebrity,
about
take notes.
celebrities. Like, this is a guy who's not the richest celebrity. He's not the one. He's not the one with the deepest pockets. But you always see him do food giveaway, sneakers giveaway, computer giveaway, things for for victims of hurricanes and earthquakes for Puerto Rico. Like he's he's an example to his peers.
Definitely.
And more of his peers need to do what he does.
I love this initiative. This was smart as hell. I was like, wow. It's like these brothers right here. I said, this is smart. Wow. How was Cap Jr. in Harriman State Park? Tell us about that. Like, about first off, tell us about the brother Junior, the young man who passed away, and then just talk about the camp that y'all started, which I thought was another smart idea, great idea. Unfortunately, because somebody passed away and was killed by a gang, it came out of that.
This is your young boy, 15 years old, who was butchered by men, by some grown ass men, cowards, right? And the whole world saw that.
Crazy.
And no mother should go through what Miss Feliz has gone through and Mr. Guzman. You know, what they, not only losing a child is one thing, and that's horrible, but in the way that they lost their child, and then to have those images circulate through around the entire planet, that was terrible. And we try to change pain into purpose, and we know that we have to make sure that our kids have something to do. So we were able to get the governor and convince him to not only put more money into local PALs and boys and girls clubs, and we still got to do more, because that was 3 years ago, and we still see homicide rate going up in our communities.
Definitely.
And something has to change. But one of the things that we decided that we need to do is give kids in the Bronx a different experience. So Fresh Air Fund is the administrator, but we got the state to donate about 40 acres up in Harriman State Park, and they have these log cabins that haven't been used in years. We pumped in capital funds to spruce up the area.
Wow.
We called it Camp Junior, and so what we have is four different sessions, 2-week sessions where kids get a chance for free.
Wow.
Bronx kids for free get a chance to go upstate, go away for 2 weeks. Could you imagine that? And it's far enough for you to have a different experience, but close enough, should anything happen, your parents can come visit you. It's only 40 minutes, 45 minutes away, right? Or if you need to come home or whatever. And it's phenomenal. And the kids learn how to swim. They learn arts and craft. It has poetry and literature and mentoring and all these kayaking and rowboating and sports and all that stuff. But it also has an anti-violence and a violence prevention component, like a mediation component, so that part of the reason things go left is, I think, for 2 reasons. Number one, we don't know how to communicate. Right. So you piss me off, I don't know how to communicate anymore to you about how I feel about something you said. And then number two is something called the observer effect. And social media has exacerbated the observer effect. So if I speak to you a certain way, or if you feel disrespected, but we're alone, you and I are gonna act completely different than if you had your crew with you, or somebody in your crew with you, and I had somebody in my crew with me. Wow. Now we feel like we have to play up to the people who are observing. Right. And so we may be less forgiving, because we don't want our folks to think of us as any less. Right. Oh, you let them say that? or you a sucker, or you whatever, whatever, whatever. Now, imagine now in social media that exacerbates that. Then now you have amplify that observer effect.
Yeah, I see your point.
So part of what this component does is that it allows for us to express our, disagreements in a way where it doesn't have to result in disrespect and or a progression of violence that leads ultimately to, the death of somebody or somebody going to jail.
No, I hear you, and communication is the key. Definitely being able to effectively communicate when something's wrong in a positive, in a nonviolent way. Definitely giving the kids the skills to do that. And Fresh Air Fun is dope. I went to Fresh Air Fun every summer. That kept me out of trouble. I was on that bus when it's time to go. I was out because it's in a different environment. I didn't want to be in the city every summer.
And the difference here is that this Camp Junior is only for Bronx kids. I know that your viewers are from everywhere. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, just ask your elected official to do something for your borough.
Yeah.
But the point is, what we want to create is like a network of folks. So when you went to Fresh Air Fun, you went to Fresh Air Fun with kids from all over. Definitely. And you may or may not have seen them again. Social media now is better. It's the positive about social media is that you can stay connected. Mm-hmm. But what we want to create is a network of folks so that if I went to Fresh Air Fun, or if my kids went, and I'm from Soundview, and another kid went to Fresh Air Fun and they're from Wakefield, or from Kingsbridge or Highbridge, should there be beef or something in a couple of years later, you could be like, that's my man from Fresh Air Fun.
Yeah.
And, once it's like basketball, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing about basketball. When you play street ball, you kind of know each other. You go around, you play ball, and then maybe your man gets into beef with somebody else, be like, that's my man Ruben from South, and you're able to squash that beef.
Definitely.
So we wanted to create a network.
Smart. See, oh man, I know I said an hour, man, but I try to. Do you have any advice? Because I could talk to you. I'll start forgetting the time.
My advice to you.
Any advice to like myself? Any advice you want to give me, and any advice you want to give to anybody that want to follow in your footsteps as far as getting into the political arena and is a hip hopper at the same time?
Well, I'm not a hip hopper. I'm just a student of it.
No doubt.
But obviously, if you want to get into government, you got to get into government for all the right reasons. If you want to get rich, don't get into government.
Right.
If you want to get rich, you wind up getting into government and you're just going to get in trouble.
Yeah. Facts.
You want to get into government because you want to serve your community. Right? And all you got to do is show up. And you got to make sure that you understand that you start at the bottom. Go to a political club if you want politics. Go to your community board. Go to your elected official's office. And you could just start there. That's one. Two, especially black and brown men. Like, it's time for us to step up. And it's time for us to be example. It's time for us to show that we can coexist. Right. And we can do it in a way where we could be productive, we could be professional. And our kids are watching.
That's right.
Our young men are watching. And for someone like you with this platform, I would advise you to get more and more elected officials. My team will, plug you into some of them.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But it's time that you all understand that politics makes the world go round, and you no longer have the luxury of not getting involved. Because if not, other communities will, and other communities will set the agenda. Right. So if you're mad at me or if you're mad at another politician, y'all don't do this and y'all don't do that. Well, the question becomes, how did you get involved, and how have you made your voices strong? Because if not, then you know what? For us, because there's so much to do, a politician is going to go where it's the noisiest, and if there's no noise, no news is good news. Yeah. So if they don't hear from you, they think everything is all right.
Facts.
So politicians need to hear from you. And when I say hear from you, it doesn't always mean that you got to go out there and scream and yell and disrespect a politician. Right. Approach a politician in a respectful way, and they will be more receptive to what you have to say.
Wow.
and approach them with more and more people, whether it's for a basketball tournament, a festivity, crime, whatever the issue is. You want to spruce up a new park, take 3, 4, 5 of your, cats with you and go respectfully to an elected official's office and say, hey, you're our local elected official. We love our community. Our park looks this way, or there's too much garbage here, or there's an empty lot there. There's something bad happening, whatever it is, and you'll see that you'll get a long way.
Wow. Thank you for that. And I'll definitely take heed of that. I want to thank you for all your service, man. Your inspiration, man. And I was very, I did more digging and back in your background, and just, I was like, and I was just paying attention, and I was just like, man, this definitely a beacon of light in the Bronx, man. Thank you for all your service and all that you've done. You know what I'm saying? I really respect what you're doing. Thank you for coming on the platform, Ruben Diaz. Thank you very much. We out.
Appreciate you, man. See you soon.
See you soon. Thank you, my brother.
Yeah, strong.
BX.
All right.
Wow, that was dope. Wow.